The year I was diagnosed with severe clinical depression, I became the family's most fragile treasure. All the sharp objects in the house were confiscated. The windows were welded shut. My parents took turns watching me, a 24-hour vigil against the slightest flicker of self-harm in my eyes. To manage my fragile emotions, they even forced my brother, Sam, who had just gotten into a top university, to defer for a year and come home to help. Until the day of Sam's wedding, the house was a kaleidoscope of festive lights and joyful noise. I looked at the sea of smiling guests and felt the air grow thin, my lungs tightening. I whispered, without thinking, Mom, I feel overwhelmed. I need to go to my room. My mother's beaming smile vanished, replaced by a terrifying snarl. She grabbed a fruit knife from a platter on the table and shoved it into my hand. Overwhelmed? If you're so overwhelmed, then just die. This is your brother's big day. Do you have to ruin it? Do you have to be the black cloud over everything? Here, she gripped my hand, forcing the blade hard against the skin of my neck. Cut yourself right here. Stop just talking about how you don't want to live anymore. Then, with a final shove of disgust, she turned her back on me to raise a toast with her new daughter-in-law. I looked down at the knife in my hand, and finally, I smiled. The cold of the metal seeped into my palm. It was the first time in 3 years I had touched anything so sharp. It had been so long. For 3 years, my world had been a world of dull edges. I could only eat with rounded spoons. When my nails grew long, my mother would personally file them down, bit by bit. Even when I showered, the bathroom door had to remain open so they could check on me at any moment. And now, this knife. My mother had placed it in my hand herself. The room was filled with laughter and the clinking of glasses. No one was looking at me. I stared at the knife. I should put it back. Put it back on the fruit platter and pretend none of this happened. My hand lifted slightly, then froze in midair. I could hear my brother Sam's cheerful laugh from the doorway. He was toasting guests, full of life and promise. He'd taken a year off school, a year from the prime of his life, to watch over the crazy sister. Now, finally married and starting his own family, he could be free of this burden, free of me. Looking at all the joy in this room, I suddenly felt so filthy. I was the only stain on this perfect picture. My presence here made the very air feel thick and suffocating. My mother was right. I shouldn't have an episode today. I shouldn't be the black cloud. I shouldn't be alive. My fingers tightened around the handle. I turned and walked toward my bedroom. I moved slowly. No one noticed. They were all drowning in the happiness of the wedding. Who would pay attention to the comings and goings of a mental patient? I entered my room and gently closed the door. The noise from outside was instantly silenced. I leaned against the padded wall, my body sliding down until I was sitting on the thick carpet. I raised the knife and held it to my throat. My hand was shaking violently, not from fear, but from excitement. It was a physiological euphoria, the thrill of a prisoner about to break their chains and find ultimate freedom. Over the past 3 years, I had imagined my death countless times. I thought about drowning, about hanging, about swallowing pills, but every attempt was discovered, followed by even stricter surveillance, by more hysterical crying. Annie, what do you want from us? Are you trying to kill your mother? Annie, we gave up everything for you. Your life isn't your own. It belongs to this family. How can you be so selfish? Sis, I'm begging you. Just be okay, please? Mom and Dad are getting old. They can't take this. Today, I would finally be free. Mom, you told me to die. You handed me the knife yourself. I'll be a good girl. I'll listen. The sharp edge kissed my skin. My wrist jerked with force. A wet, tearing sound. Then, a gush of warmth. I opened my eyes. Blood splattered across the wall and floor, like crimson flowers bursting into bloom. So beautiful. My strength drained away with my blood. I collapsed onto the floor, curling into a ball. So cold. So this is what dying felt like. I looked at my blood-soaked hands and managed to pull the corners of my mouth into a smile. My brother's wedding. I celebrate it with my life. The debt I owe my parents for raising me, I repay it with my death. From now on, you won't have to take turns watching over me. You won't have to live in constant fear. You won't have to feel ashamed in front of our relatives. You won't be crushed by the weight of my medical bills. You are free. And I am free, too. My consciousness began to blur. The laughter from outside sounded distant and muffled. To the happy couple, may you have a long life together and beautiful children. Cheers. So lively. At the very end, I thought I heard my mother's laugh. It was a sound I hadn't heard in a long time, a laugh that came from the heart.